Hello and welcome to the session on Education in Mother Tongue and Overview. India is a multilingual country and its multilingualism is complex. People in different states of the country speak their own unique language. Most of the states in India have one dominant language spoken in that region. Individual mother tongues in India number several hundreds. Census of 1961 showed that 1652 mother tongues exist in India. The figure may vary due to a number of reasons. This number can be reduced to 200 by eliminating those which are actually similar mother tongues, but have different names. Of all the languages spoken in the country, only 15 languages are recognized as the major ones by the 8th schedule of the Constitution. Only these languages receive funding from the central government for language maintenance. Out of all the languages in India, 58 find place in school curriculum and 47 are used as the medium of instruction in schools. There are 34 literary languages, out of which 14 are neo-literary, as they have been cultivated only recently. Throughout the country, the press uses about 87 languages. Many ancient languages have already vanished in our country. The different languages spoken in India belong to 4 different families, namely Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Sino-Tibetan and Austro-Asiatic. The Official Languages Act of 1967 provided for use of Hindi as the language of communication between the center and the Hindi speaking states, and use of English as communication language between the center and non-Hindi speaking states. No single mother tongue emerges as the dominant numeric majority language of India. Even Urdu and Hindi, which is used the most by large groups in India, is spoken and understood by only 45% of the population. Language is an integral feature of educational practice in classrooms. Teachers and students communicate and interact via language. Mother tongue plays a very important role in a child's identity and self-esteem. The mother tongue of a child provides him a basis to learn anything further. It is the greatest cementing force of unity and integration. In the context of formal education, mother tongue is normally used to refer to the language the child learns first and usually speaks the best. Education policy makers in countries with multiple languages have a dilemma regarding the choice of language to be used as instruction in schools. In India, the dilemma is whether to choose English as the language of instruction from grade 1 or start with mother tongue instruction and translation to English as the language of instruction at a later grade. It is important to know that mother tongue is the most understandable and easy medium for transformation of knowledge. Success in learning a foreign language is contingent on a certain degree of maturity in the native language. The child would be able to transfer to the new language the meanings he already possesses in his own. 3 steps needs to be followed while learning one's mother tongue. 1. Oral command of the language. Secondly, shifting it to written form of language, and thirdly, expression of it in the form of thoughts and ideas. The father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, had also recommended that mother tongue should be the medium of instruction in schools, because mother tongue can acquaint the child with the social heritage, aspirations, ideas and ethical and moral values of the nation. He believed that the dialects of different states in India were rich in expression and idioms. He approved of the scholars devoting themselves to the learning of foreign languages in order to ultimately enrich the Indian languages. To reject a child's language is equal to rejecting a child. If we admit that basic education is the right of every child, we must also admit that the medium of instruction is also the right of every child. The students at school should be given the opportunity to master their mother tongue as well as the majority language spoken in the country. The mother tongue proficiency functions as a bridge between the language spoken at school and the language they speak at home. People being multilingual in a country are a considerable advantage to the society in many ways. Bilingual education program and multilingual education program. Bilingualism and multilingualism is considered to be a uniform phenomenon throughout the world, but at one extreme there are countries which predominantly follow monolingual policies. Demographically, such countries may be multilingual, but functionally they are not. Western countries on the whole are best examples which follow monolingualism. Some of the available data indicates that there are many bilingual and multilingual individuals in the world than there are monolinguals. In addition, more children throughout the world have been and continue to be educated via a second or later acquired language, at least for some portion of their formal education, than the number of children educated via their first language. India is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-ethnic and multi-religious country. Issues on medium of instruction are very important in India, particularly in debates around the choice of English versus the regional language and also in relation to mother tongue education for minorities. Like mother tongues, both official and unofficial, the languages of learning and teaching in school may be multiple, including official and unofficial media of instruction. Bilingual education is defined as the use of two languages as the medium of instruction for students at school as a part of their school curriculum. If so, a good part of Indian educational system involves bilingual education. The monolingual pattern is followed only in a few schools in India. Two types of bilingual pattern are found in our country. Sequential bilingual education. In this type of instruction, the students study all the subjects through their mother tongue or the regional language of their area up to a certain grade and later on switch to another medium for the rest of their education. Concurrent bilingual education. In this type of instruction, the students study one subject through one language and other subjects through a second language all through their curriculum. There is yet another pattern of education followed by the linguistic minorities in India. A student whose mother tongue is a minority language learns his mother tongue as a subject, but learns the rest of the curriculum through the dominant regional language or English. Bilingual education is very much prevalent in medium of instruction in central schools all over India, and it is felt that instruction in central schools is better than that in regular schools. The children of transferable union government employees attend these schools. English and Hindi are the two languages used as medium of instruction in all central schools irrespective of their location. Subjects such as geography, history and civics are taught in Hindi. Science, mathematics etc. are taught in English. An important drawback of this program is that children from non-Hindi backgrounds do not study their mother tongue at all. Hindi is more or less imposed upon all those children whose parents hold transferable jobs. The use of multiple languages for education in a country may be attributed to or be a reflection of linguistic heterogeneity of the country. Any attempts for language planning efforts in India must start with the unique nature of multilingualism in the country. It is necessary to keep in mind the number of languages the country has, the geographical distribution of the speakers and their socio-cultural functions. An important issue in a multilingual setting is the choice of medium through which primary education is to be achieved. In a multi-ethnic society, the choice regarding the medium of instruction is determined by various interrelated factors ranging from social, historical, ideological, psychological, etc. There are different claims on the issue of the medium of primary education. Firstly, primary education is more effectively achieved when taught in the mother tongue. Secondly, primary education is most effectively achieved in the language of wider communication, that is official language or international language. UNESCO is developing a number of initiatives for the promotion of mother tongue instruction and bilingual and multilingual education. According to the UNESCO, multilingual education programs should take place in the following stages. Stage 1, learning should take place entirely in the child's home language or his or her mother tongue. Stage 2, efforts should be taken to build fluency in the mother tongue. A second language should be introduced at this stage. Stage 3, efforts should be made to build oral fluency in the second language. Introduction of literacy in this language should also be done in this stage. Stage 4, both the mother tongue and second language should be used for a lifelong learning. Multilingual education of this type emphasizes the use of first language first and then bridge to the second language. The UNESCO stresses the introduction and acquisition of the second language and sees it as a two-way bridge, because with proficiency in a second language, the learners gain the ability to move back and forth their mother tongue and other languages. In India, the two states that have adopted such a form of learning are Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. Using such a form has provided the tribal people of these states to rediscover their culture through their language. The important trend to use minority and indigenous languages as the language of instruction in many parts of the world on the one hand, and the need to acquire fluency in languages of wider communication, especially English, has reinforced the trend towards multilingual education in many parts of the world. The three language formula or TLF. Multilingualism in India has existed from the beginning of her recorded history and has been perceived as neither good nor bad, but as normal and a natural phenomenon of day-to-day life. India is diverse in its culture, language, religion, ethnicity, tradition, etc. Existence and maintenance of diversity has always been a part of Indian tradition and culture. In spite of all the diversity, she has been culturally and linguistically united. This has been so despite several invasions and long colonial rule of the British Empire that English was imposed in the country through formal education. Migrations from different parts of the country did not affect adversely the maintenance of their languages. On contrary, these languages spread by reciprocal interactions with the local languages and gave birth to new languages. This further enriched India's multilingual base. When India became independent, debates regarding medium of instruction in the national school system had to be confronted by the Indian National Congress in 1947. Meeting the demands of the major linguistic groups and at the same time forging a national character through a common language was a serious challenge for the young nation. From the point of view of education, it was important to recognize the following typology of languages in India: classical languages, regional languages, mother tongues and other regional languages, English and Hindi. In order to accommodate the above languages, the three language formula or TLF was recommended. The TLF was recommended by the All India Council for Education in 1956. After several modifications, the TLF was codified in the National Policy on Education in 1968. The Education Commission or the Kothari Commission also recommended this new formula for education in schools. The program was endorsed by the NPE and again by the Program of Action 1992. Amidst the sharp controversies concerning the role of different languages in formal education, a broad consensus was achieved with the formula which provided a basis of policy for a minimum requirement of language proficiency in school education. The formula expected a student to acquire sufficient control over 3 languages by the time he or she completes her schooling. The 3 language formula recommended the following: regional languages or mother tongue as compulsory and should be used as the first teaching language for 5 years. Hindi should be taught in both Hindi areas as well as non-Hindi areas for 3 years. English should be used as third language from that year onwards. The main strength of the program was that it had created English knowing bilinguals, as English was taught especially to the disadvantaged groups mainly through formal schooling. The TLF was to be customized in each of the states that made up the Indian Federation. Despite the entrenched nature of TLF, it had numerous drawbacks. There was a major disparity in the implementation of TLF between the north and south of India. This was due to the kind of languages taught under this formula. In the Dravidian south, the 3 languages taught were regional language of that state, English and Hindi. The 3 languages belonged to 3 distinct linguistic groups and had different scripts. In the Hindi belt of northern India, the languages imparted were mostly Hindi, Urdu, English and Sanskrit. Sanskrit and Hindi had the same script. Hindi and Urdu and Hindi and Sanskrit possessed a great amount of common vocabulary and common morphological syntactic features. So, the southern states had to work more, as the 3 languages they had to study belonged to 3 different groups. Not only this, the southern states were reluctant to use Hindi at all levels, whereas the northern belt states neglected the Dravidian languages. Many states did not implement TLF in its true spirit. Some of the states implemented it only for 2 or 3 years. Eventually, this formula got modified, making Hindi no longer compulsory for non-Hindi areas and English taught in place of Hindi. Later, English became the most common second language in all the states in India. The 3 language formula had been interpreted in different ways by different states. Thus, the official 3 language formula was more abused and less used. In conclusion, a vast segment of Indian student population received their education in a language other than their mother tongue. This may either be because of choice or necessity. Although access to schools has increased and enrollment rates are improving, the dropout rates are still alarmingly high. The achievement levels are also low compared to their non-tribal counterparts. One of the reasons for this is that education is conducted in a language they do not understand, using an unfamiliar cultural context. Studies have shown that if children are given the chance to develop their mother tongue skills from preschool age, their academic performance at school in the later years will be better. Children whose early education is in the language of their home can develop stronger literacy abilities in their school language. This is because children's knowledge and skills transfer across languages from the mother tongue they have learned at home to the school language. If children are taught more than 2 languages throughout their primary education, they gain deeper understanding of the language and would know how to use it effectively. They would gain practice in processing language and would be able to compare and contrast the ways in which the 2 languages organize reality. Researchers show that bilingual children may also develop more flexibility in their thinking as a result of processing information through 2 different languages. One way to achieve equity in education as well as counter linguistic and cultural laws is to deliver early childhood education and primary education through mother tongue. Article 350 of the Constitution says that every state in India should provide adequate facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to the linguistic minority groups. The Secondary Education Commission in the year 1952-53 also realized the importance of mother tongue to children from the minority groups. The Education Commission of 1964-66 also stressed on the same importance. Teachers in schools should also have proficiency in the mother tongue, since children are more likely to succeed at school when teachers speak their home language. If teaching is in a language that the child does not know, the child sits in the classroom without understanding much of the teaching. He or she may develop the behavior of mechanically repeating what is taught without the capacity to think. It is often noted that children quickly lose their ability to use their mother tongue even in the home context, where the mother tongue is used extensively outside the community, outside the school, and language use among young children will be less. Children are dependent on their parents and school staffs towards the question of mother tongue studies. It is important to build a positive climate between the home and the school. There is a general lack of awareness among large section of parents on importance of mother tongue based schooling. Such parents need to be guided so that they would take interest in helping their child learn his or her mother tongue. They should establish a strong home language policy and provide ample opportunities for the children to expand the functions for which they use their mother tongue. It is the parents who should decide whether their children should be put into a school that teaches them their mother tongue. The teachers should also help children retain and develop their mother tongue by communicating to them about the values of knowing additional languages. One aspect of globalization that has important implications for the educators is the increasing movement of people from one country to another. They move to various countries in search of better living conditions. The education policies and practices vary widely between countries. If people are not taught in the global language, that is English, things become difficult for them in a foreign country. Due to this, there is a slow process of replacing local languages by English in our country. Ignoring the mother tongue of a nation cannot help in any progress of the nation. For example, countries like Kenya, Nigeria, etc. have ignored their local languages and adopted English. The development pace of these countries is too slow, whereas France, China, Japan, Germany, etc. have opted their mother tongue even for higher studies. These countries are developing at a high pace. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far. India is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-ethnic and multi-religious country. Most of the states in India have one dominant language spoken in that region. Individual mother tongues in India number several hundreds. The different languages spoken in India belong to 4 different families, namely Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Sino-Tibetan and Austroasiatic. Due to the multilingual feature of the country, it is difficult for the policy makers to decide regarding the choice of language to be used as the medium of instruction in schools nationwide. Language is an integral feature of educational practices in classrooms. In the context of formal education, mother tongue is normally used to refer to the language the child learns first and usually speaks the best. It is important to know that mother tongue is the most understandable and easy medium for transformation of knowledge. Success in learning a foreign language is contingent on a certain degree of maturity in the native language. The child would be able to transfer to the new language the meanings he already possesses in his own. To reject a child's language is equal to rejecting a child. The mother tongue proficiency functions as a bridge between the language spoken at school and the language they speak at home. The chapter speaks about the importance of home language and problems with its implementation as medium of instruction. The chapter gives a good knowledge on bilingual and multilingual education program and the 3 language formula. Now, you can try to answer the questions given here. Why is it difficult for the policy makers to adopt a common language as the medium of instruction in India? What are the advantages of adopting mother tongue as the medium of instruction in schools? What is a bilingual education program? How can bilingual pattern be classified? What are the different steps to be followed in adopting a multilingual education according to the UNESCO? What are the steps to be followed while learning one's mother tongue? What was recommended by the 3 language formula? Now, you can go through the reference books for your further understanding. Foreign Language and Mother Tongue by Iswan, Kex, Tunde Pep, Taylor and Francis, published by Lawrence Earlbaum Associates Publishers, New Jersey in the year 2009. Bilingual Education in the 21st Century, A Global Perspective, written by Ophelia Garcia, published by Blackwell's Publishing, John Wiley and Sons Limited, United Kingdom in the year 2009. Focus on Bilingual Education, Volume 1 by Ophelia Garcia, published by Jones Benjamin's Publishing Company in the year 1991. Hope that you have enjoyed this session. We can meet again with another topic soon. Till then, take care.